Welcome back to another round of the Patreon board. So today I would have done Matthew's request on a particular movie he selected, except it's also to a sequel to the movie that won the bonus objective poll. Seeing as how they're both related, I'll let you draw your own conclusion on what it is, so let's start with this movie first, so we can tie it into that one.
Chin up, everybody loves a happy face. Wear it, share it, it'll brighten up the darkest place. Twinkle.
So the theme I went for this month was pigs, since this was the year of the pig after all, and I haven't really done any pig films yet, and while Babe had interest from some of you, it seems more wanted to see the 1973 film adaptation of Charlotte's Web. Which is fine by me because I actually like this movie. It was one of the few Hanna-Barbera movies I owned growing up, the other being Once Upon a Forest, both being among 3 theatrical animated films they done that aren't based on any of their original characters or shows. This story was originally made by E.B. White, who also wrote Stuart Little, which also got adapted into a movie. He also had some say in how some of the production for the movie would go, regarding the design and casting of the title character, and how much of the book could be adapted, though no one was allowed to show him the storyboards. It is cool whenever an original creator gets to contribute to any project related to their work, though given the issues with financing and just getting it made at all, it had to have been very stressful. But it did eventually get made, and it's the version that won my little poll. So let's see if the humble, radiant, terrific book made for a good, humble, radiant, terrific movie. I don't know, just roll it. So as we get various landscape shots of the countryside, the music we have sort of sets the tone for the movie. Like, it'll often be calm or somber, but also uplifting later. The original story was said to have the pacing of like a farm rope swing. Maybe you experience them ups and downs in mood constantly. Like right here, we get told how wonderful farm life is in the spring, and it looks good. But then you're told that one of the piglets was a runt, and that Father John had to do something to him. Made worse when Fern, voiced by Pamela Ferdin, learns why he has the axe.
One of the pigs was a runt, so your father has to do away with it.
Do away with it? You mean kill it?
Well, yes.
Just because it's smaller than the others?
Don't yell, Fern. The pig would probably die anyway.
So yeah, we went from Happy Sunshine Valley to learning about cruel nature. Perhaps the farm swing metaphor was actually a mood swing. So she tries to reason with her father about needing to kill something so small.
This is a matter of life and death, and you talk about controlling myself.
Now, Fern, I know more about raising pigs than you do. A weakling makes trouble. Now, run along.
But it's unfair. If I had been very small, would you have killed me?
Now to be fair, she is still a child, so she doesn't understand much of why things are done, which some people have noted to the innocence of youth, which is one of the core themes of the original story. Obviously, her father knows better, but is willing to let her learn for herself, and even gives her the right to raise the piglet for a while. She ends up naming him Wilbur, and everything becomes happy again.
Can I have a pig too, Pop?
I only distribute pigs to early risers. Fern was up at daylight trying to rid the world of injustice. Seems to me you've already got more wildlife than you can take care of, Ailey.
See? No more death in this family! Now we get the first of several songs, which were provided by the Sherman Brothers, 2 of the most famous song composers in cinema.
There must be something more to us than you and me. It must be tangled up somehow with destiny. I used to think the sum of 1 and 1
personally, I think the songs aren't all that bad. They're sung well and have some meaning to each part of the movie. Of course, E.B. White considered it part of his dissatisfaction he had with the movie, as his stories become more Disney-like as a result. And I kind of get it, since like those movies, you would get songs coming up a lot, and many do turn out jolly despite the mood that the original story might have had. These songs tend to make you forget about the theme of death that this movie is also trying to convey, like in the book. Though I'll save my reservations on the song's inclusion for this movie for later. Anyway, while taking Wilbur for a stroll, what good would that do?
Wait.
No way! Did you teach him that?
Oh, gotcha. She runs into her friend, Henry, who rarely gets to have fun because of his stuck-up mother.
Well, Mother says pets are unsanitary.
Wilbur's not. He's clean as a whistle.
Henry Fussy, you put that thing down.
Well, what did you expect was going to happen? You told him to put him down. But that's just the start of things, as since 2 weeks have passed, Wilbur is too big to stay in the house and has to go outside. At first you're thinking, it's not so bad, she still gets to keep him. Well, until a storm hits and his attachment to Fern gets him into more trouble. And it's after he's gotten so big to the point where John has to start acting like a parent again and tell Fern it's time to sell him.
He's not a baby anymore, and his brothers and sisters are already sold.
Oh, Papa.
On the plus side, you wouldn't have to go far to see him. I guess your father was only kind enough to have sold him to your uncle instead of someone further away. Now comes the part where the animals begin to have lines of dialogue.
You're welcome, welcome, welcome. Can't you talk? You probably could if you tried. Try. Very good. Very good.
I can talk. I can talk.
I sound like Henry Gibson. Wait, Henry Gibson?
Yes, animals are business, a money-making business.
Oh no! You go away!
Isn't it great that I articulate? Isn't it grand that you can understand? I don't grunt, I don't point, I don't even squeak or squawk.
So, yeah. Even though Wilbur was very upset that he lost his friend, he's suddenly all happy that he's gained the ability to speak. It breaks the mood when we were having some realization that things are different, hence why adding songs might have been a bad idea, and why it puts it close to Disney level. After being told to keep it down, he goes back to being depressed. Now we get a character who is comic relief in both versions of the story, Templeton, voiced by Paul Lynde.
Will you play with me, Templeton?
Play? I hardly know the meaning of the word. I never do any of those things, if I can avoid them. I prefer to spend my time spying and hiding and eating.
Here they up his ego a bit by giving him the funny animal motions. He can be pretty funny though. Poor Wilbur only wants a friend to play with, but soon has to learn the harsh reality that most pigs face.
Are highly regarded by Zuckerman because we furnish him with good quality wool. With pigs, on the other hand, it's just a matter of time.
Time till what?
Till you're fat enough to kill.
What did you say?
Oh, everybody knows it. In the fall, you'll be turned into smoked bacon and ham, just as soon as cold weather sets in.
Could be worse. He could be staring down the butthole of an overmuscular Frenchman. Wilbur takes it pretty hard that he's going to die, and there's nothing he can do about it.
I don't want to die!
Quiet, Wilbur. Now chin up.
Who said that?
Do you want a friend?
Yes. I want a friend, but I want to live too.
Well, chin up. I'll be your friend, and I'll try to save your life. I've been watching you, and I like you.
I can't see you.
Are you God?
You'll see me in the morning, and I'll explain everything then.
Now for reasons that are more to relate to the title character, This is one of the songs I wouldn't mind having around, as it can elevate some of the themes in this story.
Chin up, everybody loves a happy face. Wear it, share it, it'll brighten up the darkest place. Twinkle, sparkle, let a little sunshine in. You'll be on the right side, looking at the bright side. Up with your chinny chin chin.
It's almost like a Mary Poppins song, fitting considering the role that Charlotte has.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
I promised I'd tell you all about the words chin up, and I did.
What is your name, please?
My name is Charlotte. Charlotte A. Cavatica.
Of course the spider is the only animal with a middle and last name. Though she does look sophisticated, Debbie Reynolds voices her, and she was apparently willing to do this without pay. I hope she was paid anyway, because I do believe her performance is the best in the movie.
Well, you can't talk. You have your meals brought to you in a pail. Nobody feeds me. I live by my wits.
It just seems an odd sort of diet.
Do you realize that if I didn't eat them, bugs would get so numerous they'd destroy the earth?
It lends to her character being a kind-hearted, yet very wise individual who knows what it means to live and what it means to die. And it says a lot for her to raise him and teach him all these things, because he really needs it. This is one of the bigger relationships that the story focuses on besides what goes on with him and Fern, who, according to the book, is able to understand their language. Of course, I don't know how it was implied in the book, but here it starts out ambiguous if she is hearing this based on her body language.
Be careful. A rotten egg can be a regular stink bomb.
It's big out here.
It is big. And it is frightening at times.
Though later, she makes it pretty obvious to her parents when she even brings up Charlotte's name. Regardless, I could chalk it up to just being childhood innocence and having an open mind that just happens to be accurate. Then there's also this friendship going on between Wilbur and a gosling named Jeffrey that might have been added to this version of the story. Either way, it addresses how we're not so different in many ways, and we got some things in common.
Oh, we've got lots in common where it really counts.
Of course, you could sing about that. That's fine, I guess. Again, it's not a bad song or anything, but it just continues to push things to being very Disney-like now that the animals are doing improvised dancing on top of the friendship song. All the while, Fern is just watching and is unfazed by this phenomenon. It's not entirely necessary. The ones that I feel could at least exist without it being too intrusive are the Charlotte songs. They fit in perfectly with her mother-like personality, so some songs can be seen as educational and uplifting, like the Chin Up song from earlier, or songs that could be lullabies.
Now is the hour when frogs and thrushes praise the world from the woods and rushes. Sleep, my love, sleep, my only deep.
And they all relate to her love for life and her love for others. And through what I think is a beautifully done sequence, it leads to her master plan to saving a dear friend by weaving out phrases in her web to get the people interested in Wilbur. Perhaps to make them aware that this spider has some positive thoughts on him? Well, it's gotten the media's attention, although what's this about a tax bill? And an ex-con held Lyon's kidnapper? Of course, eventually they get to a point where they have to swap out messages, or else Zuckerman will have second thoughts. And the film could have made the other animals envious of Wilbur getting this much attention, but no. Outside of Templeton's snarky attitude and Rams's often cold remarks, they really are willing to help in coming up with more words to weave into the web. Since they all live on this farm together, they're willing to help each other out if able.
Why don't you try over by the fence, Templeton?
Huh?
Lurvy dropped half a sandwich from his lunch there.
Why, thank you, Charlotte. That was nice, Charlotte.
Perhaps the next time I call a meeting, Templeton, you'll see fit to attend.
Of course, I have this feeling that Charlotte's attempt at teaching a lesson to the selfish rat might go a bit too far. Also, while she does love Wilbur as a friend, her patience is often tested given how much he gets upset at the thought that he'll die regardless of what she does. So she needs to expect him to be able to do his part if he's serious about living. Hence why he starts doing acrobatics at one point. This is more of a team effort, so if she has to work, then he should too if she asks for it. Eventually, the popularity gets Zuckerman to want to take Wilbur to the county fair, which is both good and bad, since while this may increase his popularity, there's also the chance that if he doesn't win any sort of prize, he'll fail at any chance of living. Especially if Charlotte chooses not to go, since she's going to be laying eggs soon, and she feels it very important.
There's so much to do and so little time.
How very special are we for just a moment to be part of life's eternal rhyme. How very special are we to have on our family tree.
This is another song that could probably work as part of Charlotte's character, since this is alluding to later in the story regarding her fate, but it further shows how precious she considers the gift of life. Being able to go through the seasons and see the beauty and change in all of it, it can be quite a blessing. With the imagery they chose for this, it can be taken as a more quiet moment for children without it being too loud and flashy. It just works the way it does. And let me make it clear that I do not dislike the other songs despite going for the Disney approach. Even now some songs, like the Fair song that we get twice, are visually appealing and sung well. Like perhaps if they cut out some of the earlier songs, this might fare a bit better as a whole. Though it probably wouldn't change E.B. White's mind on things, but anything to ease up on this being another Disney clone. Now for something I never even knew about as a kid, there's a deleted scene here when Wilbur is being loaded into the crate, though it can be seen in international VHS releases, when Jeffrey tries getting on board but gets caught. Normally it'd fade to the next scene at the fair, but here it continues with the loading scene, Jeffrey then trying to join anyway, only to get left behind. This leaves him quite sad since he and Wilbur were supposed to be friends forever. And guess what? We never see him again after this. Like, damn, if they had kept that in, it would probably mean he was so heartbroken he never wanted to be friends with Wilbur ever again. Speaking of friends though, in continuation of the theme of change, that was also related to the change in seasons, is the change in not just Wilbur, but Fern as well. She and Henry are shown to be getting closer, as they have throughout the movie, and she's at a point where her interests are more with him than just Wilbur. She's growing up, and it's something Wilbur has to accept, since even he has to as well, especially given what will happen to Charlotte later after she makes the final message she'll ever make.
What are you doing up there, Charlotte?
Oh, making something, as usual.
Please tell me what it is.
I'll tell you in the morning, when the first light comes into the sky, and the sparrows stir and the cows rattle their chains, when the rooster crows and the stars fade.
Well, that sounds like a line from the book. And hello, reprise to song sequence.
This will be a night to remember.
A fair is a veritable smorgasbord, after the crowds have ceased. Each night when the lights go out, it can't be found.
Somewhere, Scooby and gang are being chased by a robot at a similar fair. At least now I can say this isn't a Disney scene, this is a Hanna-Barbera one. Just the way it was meant to be. So in the morning, we see that Charlotte created her egg sack, which she considers to be her greatest work. Wilbur might be excited, but he doesn't realize that it means Charlotte's mortality is about up. She doesn't even tell him yet, since it is his big day today. Naturally, everyone is excited to see this new miracle of theirs, but...
Uncle Homer! Uncle Homer! Uncle Homer!
Avery.
What's the matter with you, boy?
This pig has won first prize already.
Oh, no!
Wilbur got a better prize! His own marching band! Actually, it's even better. The Fairground owner is happy with how this story developed and what it meant for the town and fair, so he gets a special prize! A barbershop quartet!
He's some pig, some pig.
Just kidding. It's a medal for Wilbur and $25 for Zuckerman.
He's some pig. And if I have anything to do with it, he's gonna live to a ripe old age.
So just remember, kids, the price of a pig's right to live is a measly $25. But where there is happiness must also bring sadness. Charlotte is now at peace with the fact that Wilbur will get to live, and he only asks why.
You have been my friend. That in itself is a tremendous thing. After all, what's a life anyway? We're born, we live a little while, and we die. A spider's life can't help being something of a mess with all this trapping and eating flies. By helping you, perhaps I was trying to lift up my own life a trifle.
So she wanted to make something of herself so it isn't just what spiders normally do. Even with what's about to happen, she's happier knowing she got to do something with her life, which was helping another with his. And while Wilbur takes it hard, he also swore to help her in any way, and pretty much he gets Templeton to get her egg sac down so they can hatch back home then at the fair. And even now, she can only think of the time they spent together.
It's Christmas time again. Then snows of winter slowly melt. The days grow short for just a moment to be part of life's eternal ride.
Charlotte? Charlotte? Charlotte!
And thus tears were shed by those who found joy in that little spider. So he takes the sack home, buries it, and guard it like if it were his own. And just as winter ends, spring returns and things would repeat anew. I mean, it was to be expected from a rat anyway. Charlotte's children are also born, and just as they are quick to greet him, they proceed to leave.
Where do you think you're going?
Goodbye! Goodbye! We're going out into the world to make webs for ourselves.
Are all of you going? You can't all go. Children!
Goodbye! Goodbye! Goodbye!
Oof, the pains of bug maturity. They literally grow up so fast. Heartbroken at being abandoned again, he thinks of running away. Except 3 of the children didn't leave.
We're too small to fly.
Chin up. This is a nice place. Stay here with me.
Does that mean we are welcome here?
For as long as you'll stay.
Well, except the local rat is kind of an asshole. You might want to steer clear of him. Based on a few factors, the children received the names Joy, Nellie, and...
What was my mother's middle initial?
A?
Then my name is Urania.
Urania Highwind. Too far of a stretch? He only has this to say about Charlotte, that he wishes for them to one day write.
Her memory will be treasured forever.
Ooh, that would take us a lifetime.
A lifetime. That's what we have. Everybody, come see, quickly, Charlotte's daughters, Joy Arania, and Nellie.
Salutations!
Hello!
Hello!
Welcome to the bar!
We're glad to see you.
We thought well of your mother.
Wilbur never forgot Charlotte, although he loved her children and grandchildren dearly. None of the new spiders ever quite took her place in his heart. She was in a class by herself. It's not often that someone comes along who is a true friend and a good writer. Charlotte was both.
While this movie might not be what E.B. White would have wanted, given some of the production history, on its own, this is perhaps one of the better animated films to come from Hanna-Barbera. Sure, they had help from Sagittarius Productions, who were involved in some of the production problems they had, but even with the similar human designs, I often forget that this was done by the Hanna-Barbera team. It actually looks decent in motion, and they do set the mood for a lot of scenes quite well. Most of the songs are alright, even if they feel very Disney-like, and I really wouldn't mind if they kept the ones sung by Charlotte, if they were in need of any, since they have quite a lot throughout the thing. The messages involving life and death are at least handled well. While they elegantly tie it into the seasons of change in a manner that children may understand, they don't hide the fact that all things will eventually die, so you should make the best of your life, helping others as they would help you. Charlotte is one of the few spider characters I know who is so lovable that even people who dislike spiders would have a place in their hearts for her. Wilbur and the other characters have their own charms that lend to the experience of growing up and learning what life has to offer. Just as it can be cruel or harsh, some benefits will come. Just a matter of learning what it is. At most, it's a very humble movie. I wouldn't say radiant or terrific, but a humble movie worth seeing. And hey, even with the moderate success it had at the time, in 1994, it apparently became a big-time seller, which was not something you see from a non-Disney movie. So at the least, this might have gotten people wanting to read the original book as well, if public interest in this film meant anything. Unfortunately, this would mean another side effect of having the public eye again. Tune in next time when we properly start this month's Patreon requests with the animated sequel.
Oh, wow.